Hey, what up, y'all? It's Moe D. This is where it all began right here. Basically, I lived most of my life in this project right here. It started in Farnham. It's called First Whiting Farms, but I started here on Farnham Road. I lived in this first street right here for like 6 years when I was like 7. And then I moved again to Beach Street, and then I came back. And I basically lived up here in the middle spot for like 4 years. And then my mom Dukes moved over here on this side. So literally this whole spot total right here in First Whiting Farms, I probably lived here for like 15 years of my life. So this is where it all went down. So First Whiting Farms Road, Moe D. I don't even know what I'm gonna call this documentary, but maybe the rise from Holyoke or some shit like that, or Holyoke, simple as that. Made in the image of God, Moe D, Tokeniki, Farnham. High, obviously that was a moment, right, from like 2006 to 2009, you know, from when I was 15 years old to 18. Holyoke High was crazy, you know what I'm saying? That's when I had like my first smoke of weed, first, you know what I'm saying, female that actually went out with for real, when I got my first car, you know what I'm saying, like, and I was one of the first dudes from my crew to have a car. So I would be here in the parking lot. Imagine I'm in high school, none of my boys have cars, and I'm here parked just chilling, like pimping and shit like that, just waiting for girls, waiting for my guys to get out so that we can go to the next party, you know what I'm saying, playing something, just go crazy, go play sports. There was a lot of sports too, you know what I mean, like we played baseball, football, and basketball coming up, so there was a lot of activity. It was a rich childhood. So I'm gonna show a little bit of Holyoke High right here because that was a moment.
My first true memory was when I was 4 years of age, playing in the snow with family in the backyard. I love my mother and my sisters so much. My grandmother lived a block away. She had a bunch of classic movies on VHS in mint condition. She had a serious collection. This is where I received my karaoke for Christmas when I was around 8 or 9, which changed my life forever. But let me break down the process a bit more. My mother was a single mother raising 4 kids, me being the youngest and the only boy. My dad was around, but I never had a memory of him living with us. Dad worked at Holyoke News, delivering books, newspapers, and magazines. This is how I gained access to unlimited content and exclusive posters, pictures, CDs, and more. The magazines even had video game demos. One of my favorites was the skateboarding and BMX games. The background music was Outkast. My preschool was called Morgan in South Holyoke, where I lived on the top floor of a building. I grew up in public housing with Section 8 and food stamps. This area was known as one of the hottest and most ghetto parts of the city. I do remember playing with the parachute army men, throwing them off the back porch, playing with the yo-yo, learning all the tricks, and listening to Michael Jackson Thriller for the first time. I remember going to the top floor of a building back porch, and there were these guys performing on a karaoke machine. I was blown away and watched in amazement. That inspired me. My elementary school was called Ian White, where I came into my own, building my personality, and behaved in class because I was told I'd get a drum set, which I then won Student of the Month, but I never got that drum set. I remember even hustling Pokemon cards and stickers, asking kids to tie my shoes, leveraging what I had early to get services. This was the early days where I knew I had a hustler spirit. I used to get dropped off by the school bus and go into this pawn shop to ask the owner prices for everything and practice negotiating. I started playing baseball around 6 or 7, which was my first real love. We marched down Springdale to play in the Jamboree, where all the teams played to showcase their skills. It felt like the World Series because you played in front of what felt like thousands of people that day. I won a bunch of sports championship trophies, MVP medals, and was recognized around my city for my talents. My favorite was playing defense, diving for the ball and not letting anything get by me and showing off my arm strength. They called me the flamethrower. I was actually major league potential, humbly speaking. I always said if I lived somewhere else with more opportunities, I'd be playing in the majors. As I grew up, I continued to play sports through the summers. My middle school was called Lynch. It was torn down, so it was definitely a rare education and feel. This is when I went through my growth spurt. I did things athletically that people couldn't believe. Even my gym teacher that coached Julius Dr. J. Irving would be in shock of my talent. He would have me redo things to make sure. I'd always be involved in all types of contests and competitions. All of the sports, of course, like baseball, basketball, and football, but even played volleyball, jump rope, ping pong, pool table, kickball, tennis, scooters, handball, marbles, biking, skating, you name it. I was into gaming too, anything that stimulated my mind, you know? A local barbershop playing my cassette from recording on the karaoke was the first time my music was ever played out somewhere. This was before streaming platforms, of course. I perform everywhere, always taking time from parties to spit verses or perform original songs. I had a time frame where I even studied all of the rap battles too. I'd play on the roof out of my bedroom window with these huge snow icicles, running up and down alleyways being chased by bums. We would love playing manhunt with the walkie-talkies all around sections of the city. I had to play football one-on-one with the top football player from my block to get introduced and accepted in my neighborhood. The YMCA was only a block away, so we would always go play basketball as well. We would always have family barbecues at all the parks. My childhood was so rich with sports, music, and a little bit of everything. We created a lot of classic moments. As a result of my environment, I'd also get into a lot of trouble. They had this thing called in-house, where come to think now was like jail for kids. If you misbehaved, you'd have to sit in a small room all day with the teacher and other troublemakers and do all your work without speaking or even looking around. Sports and music was my outlet. Around 13 years of age, I finally got a little home studio. When I entered high school, I already been making a name for myself in middle school, so I entered as some people would say popular. I was the only freshman in high school playing JV baseball. I'm telling you, I played a legit shortstop. Everyone in high school already knew I made music too. I was that artist, that guy. Oh, and I can't forget that classic moment at the skating rink. Everything was walking distance, coming from a small city like Holyoke, experiencing the entire city and then branching off to other parts of the state. I can't forget the females, they were all over. I'd bring girls to my mom's house all the time. Girls would even call me randomly saying they're ready for me, waiting for me in front of my house, especially after I had a performance or a show. I had so many girls that wanted to chill with me. They'd even fight for me. If one kissed me, another one would beef with the other. Before cell phones and texts, girls would handwrite letters to me and we would exchange responses between classes. I had a box full of girl pics and IDs they'd give me each morning. I even won this pimp award in 8th grade. I would even wear girls' hair clips on my shirts during school. Can't forget the church dance. We would go out to dance every weekend. This place would be absolutely packed. It became the 100% place to be. Reggaeton music took over like crazy. They created this vibe to dance and everyone in the city was just full of love and dancing. My crib was the practice dance spot. All of my boys used to come listen to music and warm up dancing, even with stuffed animals. We would arrive and like 4 girls would automatically come up to me and try to get the first dance. And many times I danced with 3 or 4 at once, dancing on the walls and right in front of the speakers. It was super lit, like a dream. There were house parties everywhere all the time. I had all the exclusive music installed on my Xbox, and I would take that system everywhere, invite people, and create parties. I was basically DJing without turntables. We had the Fantastic Four crew, where we had our chill spots all over the city. I got more reckless, started bumping into drugs and violence and everything the ghetto had to offer. Coming from a low-income household, always wandering the streets, always seeing people asking for change, money on the streets, the entire city was my playground. I experienced every corner of it to the fullest. History was so full, so rich, always involved in everything going on. I always remember living in the moment, always present. I didn't have much time to think, always busy, living as free as possible. There was love everywhere though. I'd call it the real love era. Through all of my experiences, I always gave my best foot forward in everything that was done, and I was present in each and every situation with an open heart, living life to the fullest. Moe D, Rise from Holyoke.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's Moe D. It's my city, Holyoke, the documentary. You can find me at modmusic.com or Moe D Music Everything. MOED as in daddy, music.com. Yeah, like I said, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, all the social medias, YouTube, at Moe D Music. Holla at me, it's Moe D, Holyoke, the documentary. What up?